My name is Petr Švec. I'm Channel Development Manager with Safetica Technologies, and I'm here with my colleague Jan Lakatos, our Product Manager. Organizational stuff first. This webinar will take between 45 minutes up to maybe 1 hour, depending on the amount of questions we will receive. In case you do have any questions, kindly submit them within the GoToWebinar application, and we will answer them at the end. The webinar is being recorded, and after this session, we will provide everyone who registered with the recording. Now, we are very happy you're attending this session, and we appreciate your interest. And this time, the main focus will be on the cloud. So what's on the agenda? First, as everybody knows, the coronavirus pandemic has a huge impact, and almost everyone who used to work in the office is suddenly working remotely, and we have put together important tips on how to still keep appropriate security. After this part, Jan will take a word on the rest, which will be what new features have we prepared with this version, but also most important product improvements and a roadmap of the upcoming features. And then at the end, we will answer your questions. So without a further delay, let's start with the first topic. Coronavirus has a massive impact on everybody right now, and we wanted to do our part with minimizing the damage. So worldwide, there are companies with employees that always worked in the offices on a secured network, and now suddenly majority of these people are working from home. I have a friend who's working for the government, and he still had to go to work last week. And the reason wasn't that they didn't care about the virus, but the simple fact that they were unable to secure home office right away for everybody. And I mean, just the home office, simple working from home. Security itself, that's something totally else in that situation. And now in Safetica, our goal always was to deliver DLP to every single company, regardless of the size and budget. And we believe that every company should have simple access to know-how on what to do in a situation like this, because after all, we are all in this together, and we believe that we need to help each other. Hence, we have prepared a document with general guidelines on what's really crucial to do in a situation like this. We have also webinars prepared with more information, and because we want to do our best in this, on the campaign page, there's also a short survey you can fill, which will help us get some insight into what's really happening and like how are companies affected by this pandemic. So you can find this campaign on safetica.com/home office. And personally, I'm going to leave you with this and more about Safetica new features from Jan Lakatos.
So hello again, everyone. Thank you, Peter, for the nice introduction. I will take you through the rest of this webinar, and we will be speaking now more about the topics related to the new version, which we are releasing this week. But before we dive into the topic that we are bringing as new one, I would like to just give you a short poll to find out how you find interesting the following 5 topics that we picked out. These are topics that we are in some level considering within our roadmap. We are already supporting some of these, but we would like to see what is your experience with these solutions and which of them seem interesting to you the most. So I'll be launching the survey right now. I hope you can see it in the screen. And I want to ask you which of the following solutions do you or your clients use? You can choose as many as you actually use. So the first option is Office 365, the Office suite, Outlook on the web. Then the second option is Microsoft Azure Information Protection, which is also part of Office 365, but it's more focused on classification and protection of data. Option number 3 is Microsoft Intune, used also within Office 365 for managing devices. Number 4 is Fortinet network security products. It may be FortiGate, FortiMail, maybe FortiAnalyzer or other Fortinet products. And the final option is data classification solutions. One of them might be Azure Information Protection, but also there are other vendors on the market. This is a topic that we've been discussing with more and more of our partners. And I would be just curious to find out how many of you attending this webinar are also using or have used in the past data classification solutions. So I see that the answers are already coming in. So I'll give you final 10 seconds to cast your vote. I see around 60% of the attendees have already voted. This is a very good insight for us when we are considering roadmap and discussing topics. So thank you in advance for sharing your feedback. Okay, I'll be closing the poll now. Thank you for all the votes, and it would only be fair to share the results with you. So you can see that Office 365 is definitely the most interesting topic, which is great because it's one of the main topics that I'll be talking about today. And I can also see that many of you have experience with Fortinet products. So just a kind reminder that in the previous version, we already introduced integration with FortiGate appliances. We also have some white paper and use cases listed on our website, where you can find out more about how you can integrate Safetica with Fortinet products. And also thank you for sharing the other topic feedback, because this is really an active discussion within our product management team, and we'll be discussing your answers shortly today in the afternoon. So thank you very much for sharing this. And let me just switch back to the presentation. Okay, so we're back in the PowerPoint. So the first topic of today and the first feature I would like to present to you is Exchange Online Email DLP. So in the new version, you are actually able to create email DLP policies, which are applied in the cloud. And the benefits of this is that you can protect data leaving via email on any device. So it's no longer restricted to devices where you have Safetica agent or client installed, but you can protect any device, because when you send an email, it goes through the email server and we do the protection right there. And the second benefit you can get out of this new feature is that you can only configure your data protection policies once. So there is no need for you to configure something in Safetica, to configure something else in your Office 365 configuration. We do it for you. So Safetica automatically takes what you have in the Safetica product and it applies the same setting in the cloud. For you to better imagine how this works is you have the Safetica management console here. You have some policies which you are already using in your company, and some of them are applied to email. So you control how people can or cannot send emails. And then you have the Exchange Online server and its configuration in the cloud, where you can also set up some rules and policies and create restrictions. And what Safetica with the new version can do for you is that it takes automatically the policies already in place and it creates them automatically in the cloud. So it's just this simple. Sounds very simple. It's very hard to do from technological point of view, but it's very easy to do. And anytime you update your policies in Safetica, the policies will be automatically transferred to the cloud. So you really just use one console for your data protection configuration and everything else is taken care of. So how you can use this? You can manage how email is sent to various recipients. You can choose how email can and cannot be used within your company, within special domains of your partners, maybe distributors, vendors, and then you can specify what happens when emails are going out of the company, maybe to free mail domains or some domains which are unknown. This, again, I just remind you, is happening on the cloud, and you can protect this way emails sent from home devices, work devices, mobile devices, regardless whether the Safetica client is installed. You can also choose to stop specific data. So you cannot only create policies generally, but you can say these special data, which are classified in a certain way that Safetica classified previously, these should be stopped when they are leaving maybe to a competitor domain, or when they are leaving to a domain which is not known to the company. So you can also control specific data using this new technology. You can also choose to silently log the operation and just have an overview over all the incidents that happened, or you can also block the incidents directly, the same way that you block them when there is Safetica installed on the machine. So it works in a slightly different way, but you can block the email and stop it from being sent outside. And finally, while we were preparing this technology, we were running into the limitations of our old way of configuring Office 365 integration. So we also created a new graphical user interface where you can configure this new feature and all the previous Office 365 features from one screen. It's much more user-friendly. So if you had troubles in the past setting this all up because it involved many manual steps, right now you can use the new configuration screen and configure everything very easily. And at this point, my original plan was to give you a live demonstration of everything that I just described. However, given the circumstances, Microsoft is having some technical issues as well. And this is actually an error message that we discovered yesterday. When I was testing my environment, it stopped working. So I cannot show it to you right now because there is a problem with Exchange, and Microsoft is trying to fix it today. So if you join our webinars on Thursday, I hope the configuration will be working and I can live demo it there. But for you, I have a video that I will play. It includes all the use cases. So please just bear with me for the following 3 minutes while we watch the video. And if you have any additional questions, or if there was a use case not shown in the video, feel free to insert your questions in the Q&A box, and we'll get back to the questions at the end of the webinar. So with this, let me just turn on this video, and I'll also play a very nice background music with it for you. So this was the new integration that we prepared. I'm really sorry I couldn't show it live to you because I was taking my time last week to prepare the environment to show it to you, but yesterday it stopped working. So hopefully on Thursday I'll be doing a live demonstration. Again, if you have some additional questions to the video, something which was not clear, feel free to use the Q&A box, and we'll get back to that at the end of the webinar. So this Exchange Online Email DLP is the first step towards some DLP for cloud for Office 365. We will be awaiting your feedback, how you are liking this feature. And Office 365 integration is something that we definitely want to deepen in the future. Again, the results of the poll also show that you are interested in this, so we'll be working on that. So finally, you have the first policies that you can apply in the cloud and protect your data sent from email. So let's get back to the other topics brought to you in the new version. Another topic that we developed further is something that we call persistent metadata classification. And I will tell you what's new in the new version, but I just want to remind you what this is all about and why we are investing our development time in this. So this is a new type of classification technology that we introduced in the previous big version, Safetica 9.3. And if you've used Safetica classification in the past, you know that it's kind of cumbersome to use, and there are some perils when you are using it. And therefore, we are developing this new classification technology, which is suitable also for use cases when you are sending files out of the environment that you have under control. So if you are uploading files to cloud, sending them out of the company, and then they come back and you still want them protected, you can use this new way of classifying, which we are storing in the metadata of the files. So this is a suitable approach for contextual DLP. It's not based on scanning content of files, but it's actually based on contextual rules. It's inserting classification right into the files. This allows us to protect the files when they leave the company and they come back, when they occur in the cloud and they arrive at the endpoint. And among other things, this is also already integrated in the new email DLP policies, which we just shown you. So this is a critical technology for us. We will need to have it more and more in the future as companies and organizations move to cloud and to other network services. So this is something we are actively working on. And as a result of this active work, we have improvements already in the second version of this technology. We added support for on-the-fly classification, which allows you to dynamically tag or classify any file which is added to a folder. Let's say you have a network shared folder which you are using across the company. Users are copying data into this folder, and you want to make sure that all the data in the folder are classified. Well, now with the new support for on-the-fly classification, you just set up the rule once, and any file which is added to this network share or local folder will be automatically classified. So this is already supported. And it was a backend change mostly, but we unified how this new metadata classification technology behaves. And now it's being written and read at the same time as our classical contextual classification is written or read. So there is less and less difference between the two technologies. And we hope this will help you start using the new technology and try to find ways how you can implement it in your organization. Again, this is something new. This is just version 2 that we are releasing publicly. So your feedback is very welcome. I'm personally taking calls and discussions with various partners and customers who've already tried the technology. I'm trying to find out what's missing there, what kind of use cases are not supported perfectly. If you have feedback like that, I will be very happy to get in touch with you and have a discussion over that so that we can tailor this technology to your custom needs. So this is the second thing that we are improving in the new version. And the third thing related to cloud is support for Azure SQL. So with the new version, you can use or you can choose to host your SQL database in the Azure cloud. And This brings a bunch of benefits that you can utilize. For one, the storage and performance are scalable in the cloud. So you can start small, and as you add users or you find out that you have need for more storage or the server is running a little bit slow, you can very easily scale it in the cloud. And without any other change in your infrastructure, you can just do the small changes you require and everything is running without any interruption. It's also easier to create data backups in the cloud. So this is a good solution if you require lots of backups, if you need to store your data historically. Azure SQL is a good option here. And also, as we discussed this topic with some selected partners and customers, it seems to be a viable alternative to using the Microsoft SQL Server Express, which does have limitations. And often a small company starts with this. They use the SQL Server Express, but as they grow, as their needs grow, this stops being enough. And in that case, many times the companies were forced to go with a full SQL Server instance, which is a rather costly investment. It's also from time point, it's very time consuming and it affects your infrastructure. With the cloud, it's much easier. You just deploy your instance and you can move all your databases into cloud and manage it from there. So this is something that you can consider. At the moment, we don't yet have a front end which allows you to configure this easily. So there is no button deploy Safetica in Azure. It's coming, but it's not there yet in 9.5. However, we are happy to help you set this up or try it. So if you are interested, please let us know and we will get in touch with you. We will help you set this up. It's not that hard, but it requires some manual steps. And if you are inexperienced in this sphere, in this area, we are happy to help you set this up. This is something which we created as we are preparing Safetica to run in cloud natively. We didn't want to wait until we have everything ready because this already gives you some benefits that you can take advantage of at the moment. So if this is something interesting to you, let us know and we'll help you set it up right now after you update to version 9.5. So again, this is a cloud topic. We hope as organizations move to cloud, Azure SQL will be more and more common, and we are prepared for that now. And the fourth and final big topic of the new release is that we also improved our macOS clients. If you remember, macOS client was introduced a few months ago only. So the first version was launched in Safetica 9.3. It had some audit capabilities. However, there was no DLP module working there. So right now we are working on it, and device control is already available in non-restrictive alert-only mode. Let me just explain what this means. At the moment, the client is not yet prepared to block devices because it would wreak havoc in some cases. So we need to smoothen the implementation out a bit. However, you can already set this up, and device control will log all allowed, not allowed, safe zone or unsafe zone devices connected to the client. And you can set up alerts to get information about the users using such devices. So if a user brings their own flash drive, they connect it to their Mac laptop or computer, the administrator can get an alert about this and take action. In the next version, which is coming soon, we'll have a full device control implementation. But again, we found that maybe this will already help in some use cases, or you can set this up now, and after you update to the new version, it will start also working in blocking mode. But for now, this is only in log mode only. We also improved some details which are available in file audit. So if you are missing some information included in the file audit, now they are added. And overall, both in our desktop and web consoles, we improved how you can manage macOS clients, because the implementation in the first version was very rough. So now it's a little bit easier. It's much more clear how you can find macOS clients in your organizational structure and manage them. So we hope this is also a nice improvement to those of you who were asking for Mac support. And finally, I have a highlight list of other small improvements that we added in the new version. Maybe you will find something that you will like. So if you are from Brazil, Ecuador, or Singapore, we added new built-in templates which help you find sensitive information included in files. We also enhanced what we introduced previously in our FortiGate integration. We improved the user interface to just iterate on the design a little bit, and now it's also possible to send the FortiGate DLP logs to a CM. So you can configure this in Safetica. Safetica will configure it for you in FortiGate, and FortiGate will automatically send logs to a CM of your choice. We also optimized the user experience of the maintenance module of Safetica. We spoke to selected customers who were using this module a lot, and we optimized the user flow so that it's easier to troubleshoot problems, to maintain your solution, or to deploy devices. Also, thank you for point number 4, because this was a response to feedback. So if you sent feedback about problems when users were using Firefox Send, Telegram, WhatsApp, or other web applications which are using encrypted file transfer, we had some problems with that in the past, but now we've solved them. So in the new version, these solutions or services, they work flawlessly, and Safetica is able to see and potentially block all file transfers which are sent to these kind of services. Also, for Active Directory, we included some new use cases. If you are a big customer and you are doing some extreme use cases with Active Directory, forests and trees, which are more complicated, we covered some new use cases, so hopefully you will find this interesting. And if you've used our security audit report, which I encourage you to try because it's great, we revised some of the security issues that we include there. There are clearer charts and summaries. This was again a response to your feedback, so keep it coming and you will see it incorporated in future versions as well. So of course there are more changes in the new version than only just these, but these were probably the most interesting ones that we picked that might interest you. And with this, this is the new version, Safetica 9.5, and I have one more topic to share with you, which is related to roadmap and what we are working on at the moment. But before we move there, I would like to again cast a short poll, and I will launch it right now just to not leave you waiting. So I would like to find out just a very quick feedback to which of the topics that we introduced today were interesting to you, which did you like, so that we know what to talk about more, whether the new features that we worked on are interesting to you, and we will be comparing the results from all the webinars that we have. And at the moment, we will be having, I think, 6 webinars in total. So we are interested to see also regional differences and maybe an overall preference among all the webinars. So I can see that half of you have already voted, and I'm very much liking the responses. So I'll just give it 10, 15 more seconds for you to finish voting. So we spoke about home office and the current situation regarding coronavirus and COVID-19. We introduced Exchange Online email DLP policies. We spoke about metadata classification, Azure SQL database support, and finally we mentioned the macOS client improvements. And I see that the votes are slowing down. So final 5 seconds, and I'll be closing the poll. All right, closing the poll right now. And let me just share the results with you. I'm really excited about these results. I like it very much. It seems that some of you enjoyed all of the parts that we presented. I'm super excited that you are liking our Exchange Online DLP also. I'm super disappointed that I couldn't show it to you live, but hopefully on Thursday things will be working back in normal, and maybe you can join again and see it in action there. Or in a few days, you can also download the new version and try it yourself. So thank you very much for the results. It's really nice to see interaction like that from you. Let me just close that, and let's move on to the final topic, which is roadmap highlights. So This is not our entire roadmap, of course. These are some highlights that we are comfortable about speaking already. So in the next version, we will be introducing the first version of our own user-based data classification, which allows users to choose what kind of classification should be applied to a file. It will be a very basic implementation at first, but we'll be excited to see your feedback and build from there. As I mentioned, we also are planning to release a full-featured device control for macOS. So it will also include notifications and blocking of devices, which is not yet available in version 9.5. For Safetica Mobile, this is a long time coming, but we will be supporting enterprise mobility management for Android. I cannot tell you which version exactly, but this is already way in progress. So I hope that soon you will be able to try this. We are also very intensely working on shadow copy for DLP incident files. When there is a DLP incident, we create a shadow copy of the file so that there is a possibility to investigate what kind of file it was, whether it was a false positive or not. This is a large undertaking, so it's taking us a lot of time, but we are working on it, and hopefully in a few months we'll be ready to release this to your liking. And the two final topics are related to a long-term roadmap. So we are still working on enhanced audit with anomaly detection. We already have some prototypes working here internally where we are analyzing behavior of certain events and how they are normal or abnormal. And based on that, we would like to maybe create some risk score, maybe give some risk assessment of certain situations. So this is something that will be huge, but we are still working on it. And finally, cloud hosting is something we are aiming for. You can see that Azure SQL can be already used, and we'll be introducing more and more cloud support in the future, but it will be in gradual steps. So maybe in some of the next version will allow you to use a little bit more of cloud to run Safetica natively there, but it's a long time effort. Also, just a reminder, if you would like to run Safetica in the cloud, it's already possible, but you have to use a virtualized machine which runs on cloud. And this way you can already have your own cloud server. But what we are aiming for is run Safetica natively in the cloud with low costs and optimized behavior. So this is about the roadmap highlights. And I'm sure there will be some more questions about the roadmap. So let's see what kind of questions we got. And I will just have to open the question box and give me a few moments before I expand it. And I'm not sure if we still have Peter with us on the call, but if there was a business question, maybe he can answer while I glance through the questions. Okay, so probably no business questions. So let me just go through the questions as I see them. There's many of them. This is a very large webinar, surprisingly, but I'm happy about that. So there are a lot of questions. I'll try to answer as many as possible. So there is a question about sending the recorded video after the session. Yes, the whole webinar was recorded, and in a few hours after we end the webinar, you will receive a follow-up email, which will include the recording of the webinar. It should also include the links to the new version, which you can check out. So the recording will for sure be available. Okay. There is a question about the video demonstration to be publicly available. I'm glad you liked it. It's actually, it was originally prepared for our e-learning, but we like it a lot. So I think, and based on this feedback, I will try to push for releasing this video publicly, maybe on our knowledge base or somewhere where you can find out and maybe share the video. Maybe we will create a separate version, like a more sexy one, to be shared with customers and partners. But I'm very happy to hear you liked it a lot. Thank you for the nice feedback about the Office 365 integration. There's a question: is Exchange Online DLP available to all existing customers? Yes, it's part of the DLP module. So you need to have a DLP license, but once you update to the new version, this will be available to all DLP users. There's a question, will this DLP rules will also work for email sent from mobile? Yes, the mobile devices are also sending email via the cloud server, and we do the protection on the cloud server. So regardless what kind of device you use, it will work. Okay, there is a question from AJ. Will the classification work on all types of files? I assume this is about the persistent metadata classification. At the moment, it doesn't work for all types of files. There is a limited file type support, but we are expanding on it. So if you have some specific file types you would like to support, let us know and we'll incorporate it. Just this technology is different from what we used previously, and it cannot be done universally because the metadata need to be stored somewhere in the file, and we need to create the support for this for each specific file type. It's doable, and we have a plan how to make it easier for you to implement this without all types of files supported. But if you give us feedback, what kind of types are important, we will take a look into that and try to incorporate it as soon as possible. Okay, so yeah, there is a question. I expected this one. When will content DLP work with Outlook web app, or I assume with Exchange Online in general? Yes, this is a limitation at the moment. The email DLP doesn't yet work with content assessment. So if you use content scan to protect your files, that is not yet synchronized with Office. The reason for this, well, there are several reasons, but the main reason is that Office 365 has a different content scan and detection mechanism. So when Safetica scans a file, it can find some sensitive content, but Microsoft can do something different. And you would run into the problem that the cloud behaves differently than the endpoint station. So at the moment, we couldn't solve this problem, but we are revising our content technology, hopefully making it more robust, and we'll try to unify the behavior so that the cloud DLP and the endpoint DLP behave the same way, so that you don't really have differences. Because if we implemented it right now, some files would go out of the endpoints, but the cloud would block them, or vice versa. Something would be blocked on the endpoint, but not on the cloud, and that would be very confusing. So in this first version, content scan is not yet supported for these DLP policies, but you can use classification, which I described, or you can use general DLP policies to protect email in general, or email sent to specific addresses or recipients in general. Okay, so there are lots of other questions. Let me just try to fish in this. Okay, question from AJ. How does the classification work with data digital rights management software? This is a great question. Let us know if you are already using some digital rights management software or not. This is actually one of the implementations of the data classification, which I was asking about in the first poll. The classification should work with these, but it really depends on how you have the DRM solution installed and configured. And that's a question that we need to discuss per use case. So I cannot give a general answer. If you have a question like that, please get in touch with us. Okay, there is a question for Porlang. Does Safetica new feature block upload via Telegram or WhatsApp? Yes, that's actually one of the new improvements. So this should be solved. I hope, Porlang, that you will like this improvement. Then there is a question about licensing. What are differences in price of licensing between Microsoft SQL Standard and Azure SQL? Well, yeah, this is a tough one because it depends on your use case. The SQL Standard license is very costly. You just need to have a server for that. You might need to upgrade your existing server to run that. Azure SQL, it depends. If you have a large organization, it will be more expensive than a small organization which can use the cheapest server with the lowest performance, with low storage. So the main difference is that for Azure SQL, you can scale your pricing based on your needs. So there is no definitive answer. If you have a question about this, please get in touch with us. Maybe I can switch here on the next slide. So you can write to info@safetica.com, and we'll try to address these kind of questions. But the general answer is it depends on your use case and your configuration. Hubert is asking about if we can share the release candidate version. We can, but we will release the release version. So you will get the final version. The official release of the new version is tomorrow, but I believe that once you receive a follow-up email, it will already include the links where you can download the new version and try it yourself. So there is no need to try a release candidate. The release candidate is being released to the download links, which will be shared with you. Okay, there is a question about Office 365 and Mac. If we send some files from Mac using email, like the Mac application for email, but we have Office 365, does DLP work? Yes, if you are using Exchange Online as your email server, this will work. It doesn't matter what kind of email client you use, it depends on the server that you are using. Okay. There's a question about the full changelog for 9.5. It's not very, well, it's detailed, but it's not full. A technical changelog for the new version will be released on our knowledge base. So there is a section called release notes, I think. You will find the new changelog there. It's not a full changelog because we do hundreds and hundreds of small patches and fixes. But all the bigger topics which are related to a functionality change, new feature, or a critical bug fix, they will be all listed there. There is a question about Safetica Mobile. Will it be integrated with Intune, or will it be fully Safetica product? At the moment, we are exploring how we can integrate with Intune. That's why Intune was one of the options in the poll. So Intune is interesting to us. We'll see what the market requires. For now, the EMM solution for Android will be separate, but the current plan is to eventually integrate it with Intune. Again, if you have thoughts on that, some feedback to share with us, please use the email that you can see on the screen, and we'll try to get back to you. Okay, Brian is asking about documentation for the security groups and large Active Directory structures. I think I can give you details offline. It's a very technical change, so I can share it with you. I'm taking a note right now, Brian, and I'll try to address it once I'm done with the webinars today. Thanks for the question. Okay, for the large-scale deployments as such, are there any sizing guide? If you are looking for something like that, please get in touch either with info@safetica.com or delivery@safetica.com. The guys from delivery actually have some recommendations or some best practice materials about sizing and how you can scale Safetica in various environments. So if you are looking for more information, please try to get in touch with our delivery team. Okay, we already addressed these. Okay, I'll try to address this because it will be short. Chanel is asking when we are going to have Linux support in Safetica. I don't know. That's the answer. We are discussing Linux support, but right now we are working on Mac, and we want to get Mac to a comfortable level of support because it's still missing some features from our Windows client. Once we have that, Linux is on the table. We are already discussing it. We are in touch with our partners in various regions, and Linux is big and small in various regions. So if you have feedback about Linux support, let us know again. The more information we have, the better we can assess how important it is for us to support Linux. But at the moment, there is no development going on Linux support. In the future, we are considering it. Brian is asking about shadow copies. If I can explain further, I can, but I will explain it further probably on the next release webinar. so I don't want to spoil it for now. If you have questions, get in touch with me via email, but we will be discussing shadow copy in a future webinar when we are actually releasing it and when I can show it to you how it works and what it brings. There is a question about mobile device management. We already covered that. Okay. There is a question from Nigeria about blocking SSID of Wi-Fi connections. Well, this is something that occasionally pops up as feedback, but at the moment we are not working on this. We are considering some DLP functions which would be based on the network detection and maybe how Safetica should behave when you are in company network, outside of the company network. But at the moment, this is only a hypothetical research that's going on. We have some developers who are looking into this, but nothing like blocking SSID is in the roadmap at the moment. I cannot even imagine how it would be implemented in the product, like in what part. So maybe if you can share more details, we can discuss it, but no, there is nothing like that planned at the moment. Oh, more and more questions are coming in. Cool. I'm glad you are liking the webinar. Okay. Will you be publishing all these questions as a FAQ? No, I don't think I have time for that, but we will be sharing the webinar recording so you can go back to it and maybe refer to it. And some of the things which I'm describing are already described somewhere. We have a knowledge base. We have e-learning where the details of new versions are always described. So you can check out those resources. But I'm not sure we can create a FAQ from this Q&A session. When version 9.6 will be released? Tomasz is asking. Soon, I don't really know. We are talking about a matter of months, so I expect that before summer or before, I don't know, June, July, we could have the release released, but there is no specific date at the moment for the next version. Right now, we were focused on this release, which is happening this week. 9.6 will be happening after that, but I expect a few months. Okay. For users. Yes, there is a question. Can we deploy or host Safetica in the cloud for users not ready to have an on-premise deployment? Yes, as I described, you can create a virtual machine running in cloud, and you can deploy Safetica there, which means that your server will be available in the cloud from the internet. You have to set up the security appropriately for these use cases, but you can already do this. So if the customer wouldn't like to have an on-premise deployment, this is already a good solution that you can use. Question about Office 365. Does the protection expand to OneDrive and SharePoint Online as well? No, we are only speaking about Exchange Online at the moment. OneDrive and SharePoint DLP is something that we are researching at the moment, but today the new version only includes email protection. That was the first step. It was a response to your feedback because we found out that email is the most critical data channel when leaking data. So OneDrive and SharePoint will be covered later. Okay, lots of questions. I'll try to get some from the end as well, so that if you only added your question at the end, we can cover it too. Okay, is Safetica in this new version able to block allow content classified data to a specific file share? I'm not really sure what this means, but we can already okay, I know what this means. Yes, if you are looking for a solution for network DLP to protect file shares on the network, and you need to use content classification, this is something that we are working on. It's not in version 9.5, but we are working on this. It's a complicated matter because we have to revise how we detect files being moved to network so that we can scan them appropriately, but we are working on this. I cannot tell you which version it will be ready for, but I already have a team which is looking into this specific issue. So sorry, URI, it's not yet available in 9.5, but it's coming. Okay. There is a question, can Safetica copy send email? No, Safetica cannot copy send email, but this is something that will be probably available once we have shadow copy, because shadow copy, if the email is an incident, it includes some sensitive data and Safetica is supposed to stop it. We will be able to create copies of such emails with the shadow copy capability. So this is something that we are working on, but at the moment, no. Yeah, there's also a question about multi-tenant Office 365 customers. At the moment, the infrastructure is ready for one tenant. It's a limitation, and I already have this feedback from several of you that you would like to have support for multi-tenancy. We weren't working on it because we needed to finish the email DLP, but right now I think that's one of the topics we will try to tackle for Office 365 to add multi-tenancy support. It will also help us internally in our company because we have a bunch of tenants running where we are testing, developing. We have a production tenant. So yeah, this is something definitely coming in the future, but at the moment it's not supported. Okay, and I'm afraid I will have to shortly wrap up. So the final question. Okay, when would it be possible to use OCR in the Safetica? I picked this question because it's the last one I can see at the moment, and because it also occurs often. OCR is a technology that we are researching for a long time, but we need to consider performance. We don't want to impact performance too much, so research is ongoing for OCR, and we would like to have it this year. I don't know when. I don't know if it will be available in the product, but this year we will create a prototype version that we can test, that we can validate with certain partners, customers, and we'll see how it goes. So OCR is in the roadmap definitely, but it's not yet ready for a release. Okay, and there are more questions coming in, but unfortunately I have another webinar session in a few minutes, so I will have to wrap up this one. Thank you so much for your interactivity, for the answers to the polls and to the questions. I hope you liked what we could see, what we could show you today. Again, feedback can be sent to info@safetica.com. The release is happening this week. You will receive a follow-up email to this webinar with all appropriate information. And yeah, and I think that's it for today. So thank you very much for attendance. Have a good day, and yeah, see you at another webinar. Bye-bye.